Inflation burning a hole in Americans' wallets. More companies raising prices on consumers. Stuff like burritos, washing machines, chips, soda pop, all increasing in cost. Here now, Scott Martin of Kingsview Wealth Management, a big soda pop drinker. He's also a Fox Business contributor. Scott, great to see you, my friend. Look, I want to go to this data. This has been the story all along. We've heard, hey, don't worry. The labor shortages aren't going to get passed on to consumers. Don't worry, the supply chain problems not going to get passed on to consumers. Scott, consumers are getting nailed.
Yes, and don't worry, the government knows best. They know what to give the American people so that they go back to work eventually, which they're not doing. And I think that's one of the big issues, Brian, is that a lot of the folks that are going back to work, God bless them, are requiring more pay because the government subsidized them so well over the course of them not being employed. So that is one thing that's showing up big. I think that's one of the risks here is looking at the wage inflation numbers that we're starting to see now that the job market is starting to at least act more normally, so that companies have one of two choices. Either they pay their workers more and have less profit, or in the case of workers that come in and earn more wage, they have to raise prices. And so the effect is going to be a little bit detrimental to the economy, especially as we come out of this.
Yeah, you get that spiraling effect. Look, I got a bigger paycheck. That's great. I go to the store. I used to spend $70 a week on grocery. Now I'm spending $120. I'm sitting there last night talking to my wife over dinner, and she's explaining to me how this meal costs like 30% more than it did 6 months ago. Scott, the average family is paying $175 more a month in prices because of this. This economy cannot thrive on that kind of inflation.
I agree. And I can't thrive either because I can't even get my wife to have dinner with me. So kudos to you on that, let alone how much it costs, no matter the cost. The funny thing, too, Brian, is we're seeing this inflation kind of pervasive in every area. I mean, you look at food prices, you look at cost of transport things, you look at gasoline, all these things that are out there now that are really a shock to the system. And what's funny to me, though, the reason it feels so bad is because we did have it pretty darn good for the last 8 years, or even the last 10 coming out of the financial crisis. I mean, we're in basically a deflation or, like, say, a non-inflationary environment. So when prices do start to go up as they are now because of the wages, because of the fact that we have a scarcity of materials, it feels a little bit worse than maybe it normally would have.
We had basically no inflation. We had wages going up. We had abundant jobs. That was good. But, Scott, take this all the way back. This is really, to me, a story of oil and energy. Dagan made the point earlier, day one, Keystone Pipeline. You look at every issue affecting the economy, you can trace it back to what's happening with energy.
You sure can, and you can trace it back to government policy on green energy and the fact that, AOC and the crew all the way up to Biden have totally made this huge push towards green energy, which is very expensive and not part of our complete fabric. So you're talking about the reliance on less fossil fuels and now this push towards green energy, which frankly is just costing the country too much. And you're right, it's spreading across everywhere, except, my friend, as you know very well, in Kirk Cousins' passing stats. I mean, we want real inflation. Let's get his numbers up.
You stole my line. That's the only place I want to see inflation right now is the points that the Vikings put on the board, and they cannot get it done. But, Scott, look, this is, we talk about the debt ceiling, you talk about spending, Scott, you talk about inflation. We have got the wrong prescription. The Vikings got the wrong prescription for what's going on. We've got the wrong prescription for this economy. You always have the right prescription, Scott Martin. Thank you for being with us today.
The doctor's in. See you, buddy.
You see ya.